Hello, welcome to the European Open Briefing for Tuesday, July the 11th. I'm Rafi Barjan, currency analyst at xm.com, and we're going to be looking at what's happening in the currency markets today. So it is a rather quiet Tuesday. We are seeing the dollar extend its gains against the yen. It hit a fresh 4-month high earlier today, although we are seeing the rally in bond yields ease off a little bit, so we could see the dollar running out of steam. The pound is stuck near 2-week lows following that batch of weak data we saw last week, but we do have a Bank of England speaker, Deputy Governor Ben Broadbent, due to make a speech later today, so he might give a bit more insight into whether or not the Bank of England is moving closer to raising rates. The Australian dollar is doing better this morning. We had strong business confidence data out of Australia, and in commodities, both gold and oil have managed to bounce off yesterday's lows, although both are still rather subdued. Let's start though with the dollar-yen pair. We can see the dollar has been steadily rising since last week. It hit a 4-month high of 114.47. That's mainly due to the yen faith coming under pressure due to rising bond yields in both the US and Europe, as well as central banks around the world become more hawkish. The Bank of Japan, on the other hand, is likely to remain on hold. It's likely to maintain its ultra loose monetary policy for some time yet, as inflation in Japan is still very low. So, and also we are seeing firming expectations that the Fed will be able to raise rates for a third time this year. So all of that has helped the dollar to head higher against the yen in recent days. The focus, though, as far as the dollar is concerned this week, we've got the Fed Chair Janet Yellen's testimony in Congress on Wednesday and on Thursday, although the main one will be Wednesday, since usually on the second day she usually repeats what she said on the prior day. She will probably confirm that the Fed will be going ahead to reducing the balance sheet later this year. And in terms of data, we've got inflation and retail sales out of the US on Friday, so those are the main things to watch as far as the dollar is concerned. But moving on to the pound now, because the pound has been struggling against both the dollar and the euro. Its cable is currently trading around 1.2878. We do have Ben Broadbent, who's the Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, due to make a speech later today. We also have the Chief Economist, Andy Haldane, speaking, but we're not sure whether he will be speaking on monetary policy. But the markets want to hear whether or not the Bank of England is moving closer to raising rates, because the data isn't supporting the case for a rate rise. So we could see perhaps some Bank of England officials backtracking on their recent hawkish comments. And of course, another thing to keep an eye on is the unemployment data out of the UK tomorrow. Let's have a look at the Aussie and the Kiwi, because they seem to have diverged over the past day. The Aussie is up against the US dollar this morning. It hit a near 1-week high of 0.7626. We're seeing high iron ore prices, but also we had the NAB Business Confidence Index, which rose to a 9-year high of 15 in June. The NAB Business the Conditions Index rose to a 9-year high. The NAB Business Confidence Index was also up, so all of that boosted the Aussie. The New Zealand dollar, on the other hand, is struggling. It slipped to more than 2-week low of 0.7221 as it moves further away from the 5 months peak it achieved at the end of June. The main reason for the Kiwi slide is the recent rally for the Kiwi appears to have been slightly overdone. We did have some data out of New Zealand today, which was a bit on the soft side, but overall it seems to be more likely to be technical correction there. Overall, the Aussie and the Kiwi have been struggling against the resurgent dollar, so today's performance of the Aussie is notable against the yen. Both pairs have been doing much better. They've been touching multi-month highs against the yen, and as I said, the yen appears to be weakening across the board. Moving on to commodities now, we can see gold here in orange or orange yellow. It has bounced off yesterday's 4 months lows. It's currently trading around $1,210 an ounce. There was some relief for the yellow metal as bond yield rally appears to have taken a pause. But if we do see Yellen sounding more hawkish than anticipated in a testimony tomorrow, that could bring renewed downside pressure on gold. Oil, though, we can see here has ticked higher. It's approaching $45 a barrel. That's US crude here in purple. They're up, both Brent crude and US crude are up almost 1% this morning, mainly due to signs of strong demand over the summer period. Although overall in the longer term we still have that bearish cloud hanging over the commodity. Looking at today's economic calendar, we can see we had the electronic card retail sales out of New Zealand. After falling the prior months, they were flat in July. Perhaps that's slightly weaker than other recent data out of New Zealand. We also had the British Retail Consortium retail sales data out of the UK that showed positive growth in June, so perhaps the consumer slowdown isn't as strong as feared in the UK. We mentioned the NAB business confidence data out of Australia. We also had housing finance data. In the US, the main data to keep an eye out is the JOLTS job openings, but other than that, the rest of the data will be not so significant. Perhaps though housing starts in Canada will be in focus given the Bank of Canada's meeting tomorrow. But we also have a number of central bank speakers coming up later today. Bank of England's chief economist Andy Haldane at 10 GMT, Deputy Governor Ben Broadbent at 11 GMT, and from the Fed we've got Fed Governor Lyle Brainerd at 16:30 GMT and Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari at 17:20. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.